everyone, a very good evening and welcome to the webinar. As you know, today's session is about chemical reactions and equations. But then before we could go ahead, there is a little introduction session needed because I see that most of you are new to my class. Like you haven't attended my classes before, or this is the first time that you're actually looking at my face, right? So guys, you're listening to Dr. Nazma Sheikh. I teach chemistry. In fact, I'm teaching from past 8 years, but otherwise I research related to the drugs and medicines. To be very specific, I research over the medicines that work for the advanced stages of cancer. Along with that, I also author, I present my research papers in the national seminars, etc. etc. Now that's enough of my discussion, my introduction. It's time for you. I need to know a few things about you before I could start off with the class. Of which point number 1, guys, are you all from class 10 CBSE? Can you let me know through the chat box? You have the chat box, right? You can send your responses to my questions through that. I have it open on the right hand side, so I take it up, right? So how many of you are from class 10 CBSE? You know why am I asking this question? Because this session is especially designed for the guys and girls of class 10 CBSE, okay? If you are from class 9, class 8, or maybe class 11, ICSE or other boards, it's fine. It's no harm being in this session. It's fine. But then I'm just letting you know that this particular thing is picked up from the syllabus of class 10 CBSE. But otherwise, everybody who is here is going to learn something today, okay? And moreover, that something is not which is there already in the textbook. You know, right? Okay, if you have already attended my webinars or classes before, I only teach those things which are not elaborately explained in the textbook, but still they are important. Maybe some tricks or some techniques or etc. etc. Even today's session is all about the tricks which will help you identify types of chemical reactions, okay? Now, before we could go ahead, question number 2. One is about your class. Question number 2 that I want to ask you is, how many of you like chemistry? Okay, I'll make it more precise. Do you like chemical equations, writing those reactions and all of that? You like it? Yes or no? You can be honest enough. You don't need to bluff because you guys don't know each other personally, and moreover, I don't know you personally, right? So no point bluffing here. So come on, open up and tell me. Do you like chemical reactions? The writing part of equations and all of that? You know what? Honestly speaking, most of my students, whomever I have taught before, whomever I have spoken to before, they do not like it. You know why they do not like it? Or so many of you, even today I see in the chat box, so many of you saying that not much, not comfortable, okay, kind of answers, right? So you know why somebody hates chemical equations or reactions, or you know why somebody does not like it? Because they don't understand it. Even if they understand, they don't know how to learn so many chemical equations that are out there. You have thousands of equations available, right? So most of the students, they do not know how to remember all those equations. If there is somebody out there from class 11 or 12 watching this video about P block elements, class 10 also, not any less, you're also going to have so many. So this session, I'm going to but then in this session I'm going to spend time over one such technique which will ease in the process of learning chemical reactions, okay? So I hope this is gonna help you to a greater extent if you're in class 10 CBSE. Alright, so let's get started without any more delay. It's already been 3 minutes. Let's get started, guys. As usual, have a pen and a book with you if you really want to learn things out of my class. Alright, so in the previous videos, whichever we have done, previous webinars, whichever we have done, like webinar 1 and 2 of the same chapter, I taught you about types of chemical reactions, and in the other video I taught you about what? Oxidation, reduction and all of that. If you have not watched it, not attended it, it's okay, cool. You can just go back to you can just search for those videos and watch them. They are really helpful. I don't say they're really great, good and all of that, but they are helpful, okay? So now this can be taken as a continuation of the same. But for those of you who are watching it for the first time, there are so many chemical reactions which we can classify. So there are so many ways of classifying chemical reactions as well. Of which one way is classifying chemical reactions based on mechanism. Like how exactly a reactant gets converted into product. How? Based on this, how we can classify chemical reactions into 4 types. Type number 1, combination; 2, decomposition; 3, single displacement; and 4, double displacement. Alright, so my all students who have watched my videos before, you know all of this. This is especially for the new guys, right? So now these 4 types of chemical reactions, you study too much in your syllabus. Like half of the chapter number 1 in class 10 CBSE is about these 4 types of reactions: combination, decomposition, single displacement, and double displacement. And how do they happen? Like, what is combination, what is decomposition? I have covered in my first webinar of this chapter. You can pick it up from there. Yes, so now that is not the point. The point is, how is this stuff asked in the exam, asked in the board examination? You know what, honestly speaking, you're studying, you're working so hard, attending my classes for what? Finally to achieve those grades in your board exams, isn't it? So what's the point? Whatever you're learning is not helping you to score best, correct? So let's learn everything in exam point of view. Now the same concept of combination, etc., etc., types of reactions, if it has to be spoken in exam point of view, how are these topics asked, or what kind of questions come out of these topics? Of which, I mean, one important model question that can come out of this topic is identify the given type of chemical reaction. But then what does this mean? This means they'll give you a reaction in exam. I'm talking about board exams. In board exams, they'll give you one reaction and they'll ask you, identify which type of reaction is this. Combination, decomposition, displacement, or whatever it is, you have to identify and write the name. It usually comes for 1 mark, but then sometimes what happens is they'll ask it along with balancing, along with some other topic, and make it for 2 marks or 3 marks. Okay, but then ultimately speaking, from this chapter number 1, very important model is identifying type of chemical reaction, and the second important model is what we discussed in the previous webinar, identifying oxidizing and reducing molecule. So now what? So okay, that is the important modal question. So what are we going to do now? We are going to learn a few tricks or few shortcuts which will help you answer that question easily. Now see, for example, if they give you some weird chemical reaction and asking you identify which type of reaction is this, you haven't ever seen this reaction, or maybe you vaguely remember, what do? Is this, I mean, does this mean that you have to have an idea of all thousands of reactions that you have? Actually not. I'm going to give you a few tips on applying which you can find the answer easily. Let's get started with the tips. So the very first one is how to identify chemical reaction if it is a combination reaction. Okay, what is combination? First of all, combination is a reaction which involves one entity combining with other. That entity could be an element combining with element, compound with element, or compound with compound. No matter what, when you have two substances combining with each other to give you one product, you call it as combination, correct? Now, if an equation is given, how would you identify if this is combination or not? One disclaimer before I could teach you the shortcuts. This is applicable to most of the examples. You know what? Shortcuts are shortcuts. It's applicable to 99% cases, but there could be 1% which stands out as an exception. You don't need to worry about it because in your syllabus, those exceptions will not arise. Okay. So now if you have a combination, how would you identify? For example, if there is an equation given to you and they're asking you identify this, if this is a combination or not, how would you identify? Point number 1. To identify if the given reaction to be combination or not, note it down. You have to observe the number of reactants and the number of products. I repeat, you have to observe the number of reactants and the number of products. Let's take one example to understand it better. So I'm taking a simple example to begin with. H2 plus O2 leads to formation of H2O. This is my example. Now what did I say? To identify which type of reaction is this, to understand if this is combination or not, please observe the number of reactants and products. So see, what are reactants, by the way? Whatever is there on the left hand side are considered to be the reactants, and whatever is there on the right hand side are the products, isn't it? So here you go, the reactant side, and here the product side. Can you count and tell me how many types of reactants and how many types of products are here? I see that there are 2 types of reactants. Do you also see the same? Let me know your answers in between so that I understand if you are understanding or not. Done. There are two types of reactants present here, H2 and O2. What about products? There is only one type of product. Okay. So now, listen to me carefully. If in case the given reaction is having more number of reactants, less number of products, you call it as combination reaction. What? Yeah, observe this. You have two reactants combining with each other to give you one product, isn't it? So two reactants and one product. More count of reactants and less count of products always represents what? Combination reaction. You can also call it as chemical combination, by the way, but still combination reaction. Let's try more examples to check if this is true or not, if this is being applied to all equations or not. Okay, so now can you tell me some examples of combination? Is C plus O2 gives CO2? Can this be an example of combination? Observe how many reactants, two types, how many products, one type. So more number of reactants and less number of products always indicates a chemical combination reaction. So this is a chemical combination reaction. Hold on. Let me just quickly summarize and give you an extension. Okay. So we are talking about what today? Talking about chapter number 1, chemical reactions and equations. In that, we're talking about one topic called types of chemical reactions. In that also, I'm not teaching you all the types of reactions here. I'm just helping you understand some tricks which will help you answer the actual questions in the board exams, right? So this concept of type of chemical reactions, my dear students, there are so many types of reactions, okay? And you can classify those all reactions in different criterions. For example, you can classify the chemical reactions based on the energy transfers, like exothermic, endothermic. Similarly, you can classify them based on mechanism. So now, right now, in this class, we are only and only focusing on one classification. That is based on mechanism, that's combination, decomposition, single and double displacement. Okay, so now I'm saying that this reaction that you see here, because it has two types of reactants and one type of product, is an example of combination. Okay, but then always understand this can be a combination, but according to some other classification, this also can be an oxidation reaction. Do you see that? Yes. So one reaction can stand as an example of different classifications. All right. Yes. So we are talking about only one classification right now. We are not going to discuss if this is oxidation or this is reduction or whatever. No. That's not the topic for today. Done? Are we clear? You're all clear with the point, right? We are only talking about mechanism based reactions, the 4 types. We are not talking about anything else. Okay. So now tell me if this is combination or not. I think most of you already have said before, yes, this is combination. Now one more example I'm going to give you and you have to say if this is combination or not. Okay. So this reaction H2O leads to formation of H2 and O2. Please observe this and tell me how to observe. Simple. Just observe what's there on the left hand side and what's there on the right hand side. Okay, H2O and H2O2. So what? You have to observe the types of reactants. Here on left hand side I have only H2O molecules, right? One type of reactant. And on the other side H2 and O2. 2 types of products are there. Correct? So now tell me, is this combination? Is this combination? No, right? Nobody is going to say this is combination, isn't it? Why? Array, combination ke liye you got to have one type of product but more than one type of reactant. But now the case is ulta here, right? It's the actual reverse of the actual. You have less number of reactants and more number of products. So what is this? So if this count is reverse of combination, the type is also reverse of combination. What is the reverse type of combination? Okay, most of you are new, so you haven't seen my previous videos. Cool. So now combination and decomposition, both of them are opposites of each other. So here, because you have less number of reactants but more number of products, you call it as decomposition. What is this called as? This is called as decomposition reaction. What's decomposition? It's a type of chemical reaction in which one or a complex molecule gets broken down into simpler choda molecules. Yeah, it's conversion of the complex molecule into simpler molecules due to breakdown. It's called as decomposition. Always in decomposition, you'll have less number of reactants, and those less number of reactants will break down into more number of products. So here if you see, you have one type of reactant, but you have two types of products. That means one type of reactant have broken down into two types of products, correct? Which in turn means this is an example of decomposition reaction. Are you all able to follow? These are just the tricks or techniques which will help you understand what's happening. I mean, which will help you understand which type of reaction is it, okay? Now let's take a look at a few more examples to understand and to be able to identify if the given reaction is decomposition or not, okay? So now observe this reaction, H2CO3 lead to formation of H2O and CO2. You're going to try and tell me which type of reaction is this, okay? Fine. Step 1 is what? Identify left hand side and right hand side. Step 2 is what? How many reactants do you have and how many products do you have? In the first reaction, H2CO3 is the only reactant. I'm talking about how many types of reactants. I'm not talking about the number of moles of reactants, or, I'm not talking about the prefix that you sometimes get to see before the reactants. No, I'm talking about how many types. Here I have only one type, that is H2CO3. How many types of products do you have? H2O and CO2, two types of products. One type of reactant and two types of products, which means less reactants and more products, which means what type of reaction is this? Come on, you tell me. Is this called as combination? This is called as decomposition, correct? Always combination and decomposition are opposites of each other. They are like the anti of each other. Combination, more reactants and less products. Decomposition, less reactants and more products, okay? So decomposition is conversion of the complex molecules into simple molecules. Observe the next example, H2SO3, one type of reactant. Look at the products, two types of products, right? Same with the third case also, ammonium hydroxide, one type of reactant, broken down into water and NH3, two types of what? Products, correct? So these all are examples of decomposition, okay? So now just as a revision, what I'll do is I'll give you a chemical reaction. You have to identify if this is decomposition or combination, and you have to tell me, okay? You're ready? So if you feel it is combination, just say C in the chat box, and if you feel it is decomposition, just say D. It's enough. Don't type the full spellings. It is just waste of time, right? Done? So now coming to the question. There is a chemical equation which looks like this. Take a look at this chemical equation. I have magnesium being burnt in presence of oxygen, leading to formation of magnesium oxide. Can you please tell me if this is combination or what? What is this? Okay, I'll see the chat box and I'll wait for your responses. I think there's like 2 seconds of lag between you sending message and I being able to see and read it out. But then I see that most of you are answering it correct. This is what? Before I could say this is what, just for those of you who are stuck still, observe how many types of reactants and how many types of products are there. That's it. You have two types and one type of product here, right? More number of products, less number of reactants is decomposition. But here, more number of reactants but less number of products. This is what? This is combination reaction, correct? Now one more last example, we'll go to the actual important type, single and double displacement, right? So I'll give you a tough one this time. CaOH twice plus CO2, not Ca, that is CO2, leads to formation of CaCO3. Okay, tell me, what is this? You have to be quick enough. It's been a long time and you practiced so many examples so far. So you got to be very, very quick. And that speed is needed. It is just one mark question in your board exams. If you are spending so much of time for 1 mark, what about remaining 79 marks? So develop that speed. By the way, I see most of you answering correct, appreciating each and everybody who is just amazingly doing. Keep it up. And in case you're going wrong somewhere in between, don't worry. You're just learning. You're not perfect, right? You are just learning. And if you knew everything, why would you attend this kind of classes? It's okay learning slow. Okay, let's get started. So now let's actually get resumed, not started. We were talking about types of reactions and I told you how to identify combination and how to identify what? How to identify decomposition reaction so far. Now let's get started with the actual important type of reaction, that's single displacement. You know why these single displacements are important? Do you have any idea? Do you want me to tell you? Single displacement reactions are not a part of one chapter. They are present in chapter number 1, they are present in chapter number 2, also present in chapter number 3. So they are an important part of chapter 1, 2 and 3. So of course they are important because they can be asked somehow in some or the other way in your board examinations. If you find some topics in your syllabus which are repeated in among the chapters, please don't ignore them because they are called as bridged topics and there could be questions asked frequently from those. Single displacement is one such bridged topic. Okay, so now what is single displacement? We're not going to discuss the concept of single displacement because we have done it many a times already, right? In case some of you have missed it, just Google my name, Dr. Nasma Sheikh. You'll get all the videos that I have made for Vedantu. And otherwise you also can go to Vedantu YouTube channel class 9 and 10 and watch my daily sessions for chemical reactions and equations, wherein I have taught almost all types of reactions. Now coming back, the point is how to identify single displacement. Okay, how to identify single displacement? It's very simple. There's a code for it. There's a shortcut for it. What is the shortcut? See, observe the left hand side and right hand side, but here it's not about the number of reactants. Then what? It's about the number of cations and number of anions. What's cation and anion now? You know what's meant by that, right? Cation is something which has positive charge in the power on its head, and anion is something which has negative charge on its head. For example, Na plus is cation and Cl minus is anion, right? Yes. So now, what now? How to identify single displacement reactions? You can identify if the given reaction is single displacement or not by observing the number of cations and the number of anions present on the left hand side. Then what about right hand side? Ignore. For single displacement and double displacements, you don't need to bother about the other side, the right hand side. You can ignore. You can focus on the left hand side alone. Okay. So a single displacement can be identified by observing number of cations and number of anions. But how many numbers should they be? Usually, a single displacement reaction contains two types of cations. I repeat, two types of cations, and it contains one type of anion. If this is a what? If this is a metal displacement reaction. Otherwise, there is one other condition possible. It's not in your syllabus, but it is possible. There could be one type of cation and two types of anions. The ratio between cation and anion is 2:1. So not too complicated. I'm talking about the single displacements which occur between metals and metal salts or metallic compounds. In such cases, two types of cations and one type of anion will be there when you talk about single displacement reactions. Okay? Fine, two types of cations and two types of anions. Let's take some examples to understand it better. Okay, so what is the, okay, I have so many examples here. Why to take one more? So take a look at these examples. Example number 1, zinc plus copper sulfate. Guys, you are all able to understand what's happening, right? You're following, right? So see, listen. You're now learning something which isn't given in any textbook. No textbook will give you this sort of shortcuts, but they are very useful certainly sometimes, especially when you face problem with so many things. You know, when you face problem with so big, huge topics. Okay, make sure you make a note of the things, of this all tricks, or you know, whatever you learn, so that you really get benefit out of this 30 minutes or 40 minutes of session that you have attended, right? So now coming back. Single displacement reactions. Observe this example. Zn plus CuSO4 leads to formation of ZnSO4 plus copper. Okay. As said before, since you're trying to identify a single displacement, ignore the right hand side and observe the left hand side. On the left hand side, you are having what and what? You have zinc and copper sulfate. But I told you, if you really want to identify single displacement, you have to identify the number of cations and number of anions. So here, what are cations on the right hand side? What are the anions? Always remember, if you see a metal, metal gives you a cation. So here, zinc is a metal, so it's cation. Copper is another metal, so another cation. So totally two types of cations are found. What about anions? SO4 minus 2. One type of anion. I'm repeating the same thing again. I'm talking about types of cations and types of anions. Okay? I'm not talking about total number of cations and total. Let them be 100. How many types are they of? That's what matters. So here only one type of anion. Two types of cations and one type of anion signifies what? Usually signifies a single displacement reaction. So this is an example of single displacement. You have a doubt, you check the products if this is a single displacement or not. Zinc have displaced copper. And this is single displacement. And now just go to the next example and see if this funda is working. So aluminium plus copper sulfate. Aluminium is a cation, copper is a cation. Sulfate is an anion. Working out. Third example. Again, two types of cations, iron and copper, one type of anion, that is what? That signifies single displacement reaction. But then one condition that you have to make note of here is, guys, if you really want to identify something to be single displacement or not, this two cations and one anion wala principle is enough. But if you want to say if that particular reaction is possible or not, if that single displacement can happen or not, you have to know the reactivity series. You know that, right? You have to apply reactivity series to say, is this single displacement reaction possible? Can this the displacement reaction happen? Okay. So now the last example. You tell me, last example, do you find two types of cations? And now it's become a silly question. Of course, right? Lead and copper. Two types of anions? Chlorine. But there are two chlorines, right? Should I take it as two types of anions? Come on. Both the chlorines belong to same type. So it's the type that you have to consider, but not the number. You have two types of cations and one type of anion. So this is a single displacement reaction. This is how you identify single displacement reaction. So let me summarize. We are talking about how to identify the types of chemical reactions which are based on mechanism. If you are identifying combination, you tell me, how do you identify combination? Tell me in the chat box. How do you identify if the given reaction is combination or not? Is there a way? Hey, those guys who are answering, I love to read your answers, but please save time. You are chatting with me, right? So use the chat code language. It's enough, okay? When you want to say S, you don't need to say Y-E-S-S. You know, when you want to say okay, you don't need to type O-K-A-Y. Okay, it's okay. Just say alphabet S. Okay, or K, enough, okay? So these messages are for me to understand that you are, okay, engaged or you are learning with me. Done? You don't need to spend so much of time typing full spellings and all of that here. And by the way, I see most of your answers being right. Combination. Less number of products, more number of reactants. Decomposition. More number of products, less number of reactants. Single displacement. Two types of cations, one type of anion, usually. But it also could be two types of anions and one type of cation. Done? Now, the fourth, double displacement. Okay. What's double displacement? You know what it is? When two entities or two atoms or two ions mutually exchange their positions, you call it as double displacement. It's a fair game. Yeah. And now this double displacement is a step ahead of single displacement reaction. In single displacement, one atom was occupying other atom's position, but here both the atoms are exchanging their positions. So in case of single displacement reactions, we said that two types of cations and two types of anions will be enough to identify something to be single or not. Now, if you want to identify something to be double displacement, simple. Just see if the number of cations is 2 and number of anions is also 2 or not. If it is double displacement, you have two types of cations and two types of anions. That's it. It's very simple. For single displacement, it was two types of cations and it was one type of anion, right? If both are 2 and 2, it is double displacement. Ma'am, are you sure? Yes, I am sure. Take a look at these examples. MgCl2 plus KOH. Now I'm resting and I'm going to ask you to identify cations and anions. Can you? Which is cation in MgCl2? Cl2 is the cation, right? Yeah? Very bad. Mg is the cation. Metals always form cations. Yeah, I was just kidding. It's not very bad. Please do learn when you don't know. That's it. It's as simple as that. So Mg, magnesium is cation, chlorine is anion. Other side as an adjacent. Potassium hydroxide. Potassium is another a cation, right? It's a metal again. So magnesium and potassium, you have two types of cations. And Cl2 and OH minus, you have two types of anions. Two types of cations and two types of anions. According to our shortcut, it should be a double displacement. Check out the products to identify if this is double displacement or not. You check it out. Are you able to apply this logics now? Did you understand how to apply the logic? Knowing the logic is something. Applying is the most important, right? If you know the logic and you can't apply, what's the point? Are you able to apply? And now apply the same thing and tell me. Here, the second one, HCl plus NaOH. What kind of reaction is this? I know it's a super silly question, like it's an example of double displacement, but still I'm asking so that you try to apply the logic and you learn how to do it. Yeah? Did you learn how to do it? Now, it's time that I maybe assess your learning, or maybe I understand if you have understood or not. So get ready for some reactions, guys. I'm going to give you some reactions now and you are going to tell me which type of reaction is this. Are you all ready? Are you all ready? Yes, I want everybody's answer, okay? Just now leave your pen on the book and just get ready with your fingers on the keypad so that you can send me your answers. C for combination, D for decomposition, SD for single displacement, DD for double displacement. Just write it as DD, not DDLJ, okay? Coming back. So this is the reaction that I was talking about. PbNO3 taken twice, which is lead nitrate, leads to formation of PbO plus NO2. Have you already got the answer? Arey, do let me know. What are you waiting for? Come on. PbO plus NO2. Along with that, you also will have oxygen produced. But I think I don't need to write the further products. Why? You have seen only one reactant. But the products, you already have seen me writing two. So by the time I could finish the equation, you should say this is what? Combination. Is that? No. This is decomposition, right? Now similarly, one more. PbNO3, again lead nitrate, but this time reacting with potassium iodide, leading to formation of PbI2 along with KNO3. This is a skeletal equation, not balanced. Tell me now, what type of reaction is this? I'm waiting for your responses, all of your responses. Some of you have already sent it. You know what? I really would like to appreciate each and everyone who is just here flooding in all the responses as soon as I ask. That spontaneity, you know, that maybe that fire is needed for somebody to get succeeded, right? So maintain that fire, maintain that spontaneity. That's what is the maybe spirit of the winning people. Done. And this is what now? This is a double displacement reaction. Did you get the right answer? Yeah, I have seen so many of you answering right. Some of you going wrong. You know, very few. I don't want to take your names if you have gone wrong. It's cool, no problem. But then identify. How? Number of cations and number of anions. So here, lead 1 cation, potassium 1 cation, nitrate and iodine. Now if you're confused, ma'am, how to get to know which is cation, which is anion? Simple again. Metals are cations, non-metals are anions. That's it. Right? This is what now? Two types of cations and two types of anions. This is a double displacement reaction. Correct? Yes. So did you learn how to identify chemical reactions now? But let me tell you, I just have taught you a pinch. Because there are oxidations, reductions, there are exothermic, endothermic. There are so many reactions, so many types of reactions. Maybe I'll try to cover this up maybe in the next webinar that I come in front of you. Okay? So here, today it was about combination, decomposition, single and double displacement reactions. I hope you have learned how to identify them. Yeah, you don't see the mechanism. Yeah, now you get to see. So I hope you have understood how to identify them. This is super important. If possible, take a look at previous 10 years question papers and see. Almost out of those 10 years, at least in 7 years, you will have this question. Which type of reaction is the following? Or name the type of reaction, etc, etc. So this year, like, in spite of telling the important things, maybe in the month of December, I started sharing the important things from the month of May itself. Guys, make use of this and learn it. I want everyone to get centum in science. I know the 20 marks are internals, but you can be nice to your teachers and do whatever they say, right? You can get 20 on 20 easily in internals, right? So now guys, so this is all about the class today. Hold on. It's not yet over. I have a bonus point to share with you. How many of you are aspiring for JEE, NEET, KVPY? These three. Okay, KVPY को बाजू में रख दो, IIT JEE and NEET. By the way, I have seen most of you asking me to teach in Hindi. See, I literally don't have any problem teaching in Hindi. But you know what? The students across India will watch these sessions, right? Yeah, I agree. Some of you are comfortable in Hindi, but there are so many students, especially the South Indians, who are not comfortable in Hindi. So that's why. Maybe sometime I'll try to take up some special sessions in Hindi so that, it helps the students who have requested me personally also as comments on my videos and all of that. Okay? Done? Now, coming back. What did I ask you? I have asked you something before I could say all of this, right? What was that? Okay, choro. So, how many of you were aspiring for IIT JEE and NEET so seriously? See, so many of you doing that. The forthcoming doctors, please do remember me. Engineers is somehow okay, but the doctors, please remember me. In case I visit your clinic or hospital, maybe in the future, you have to treat me well, right? But anyways, for you guys who are aspiring, who are having those long-term goals of IIT JEE and NEET and all of that, guys, Vedantu have launched a course which contributes to the class 10 student, class 11 student, and class 12 student. What does this mean? Tell you, it's a 3-year long-term plan. What happens in this? In this, very simple, you will join Vedantu now when you are in class 10 CBSE. Vedantu will help you rock your board examinations and get 10 on 10, followed by your bridge course, followed by your class 11, and you'll finish your final exams. 12, finish your board exams. Parallel to this class 11 and 12, get trained on the front of this competitives. Your competitives as well. So Vedantu is going to take care of you for completely 3 years, class 10, class 11, class 12, along with your competitives, so that you have a pre-planned and you have a very good working system. Yeah. Now, the best point is not only having the classes or not only having the concepts being taught in the classes, but then what? What is the best point? What more is needed? Something more is needed, right? Do you agree if I say that along with just being taught, you also need good practice? Do you agree if I ask you, don't you think you need good test series or good test and practice? Like, maybe practice test or pre-finals and all of that. Take the result of this, analyze your position across some 100 people, then improve yourselves. Don't you think you would need this kind of competitive spirit? And most importantly, those times when you feel low, when maybe you have got a little less marks in your school test and you're like, okay, what is happening? I'm feeling very bad. I can't do anything. That kind of low situations, don't you think you need some moral support? Yeah, parents are always there. But then, yeah, what if there is somebody to support you in your timetable, to clear your doubts, to help you morally, and also along with your academics to help you develop as a very strong person, strong mind? Be awesome, right? So Vedantu is giving you that full and complete package of this. This is what I was talking about, the 3 years long-term complete package. It's not only academics. Along with academics, it's a lot more. And of course, these online classes are the best. These are recorded and you can watch them for 1,000 times at any point of time. Whenever maybe you have a doubt, you want to revise for your exams, or whenever, you can absolutely have them revised again and again. That is again another best part. You can get access to Vedantu 24/7 doubt solving app wherein your teachers solve your doubts. So like it's a complete package of class 10, 11, 12 plus competitive. If you're going to IIT JEE, if you're going to NEET, it's a separate package for both of you. You know what is the cost of this all things? There's a link of the course being pasted in the chat box. Just click on it. Now click on it and you see the price and tell me. It's actually 1,89,000, but then since you have attended my webinar, there is some other beautiful price for you. Yeah. And of course, that's open for a little while. If you want to enroll, you can enroll into that. You know that whatever figure you see, divide it by 3 years and find how much is it costing for you for 1 year. It's also very much economical, and that's the main aim of Vedantu, to get education accessible, to get the quality education accessible for many of us kind of students who cannot access or who cannot afford to pay those immensely massive amounts of fee. Isn't it reasonable? maybe if everything goes well, Vedantu is going to come up with so many such plans to be helpful to educate that mediocre level of students who are more in India. Even I was once a student, but I never got this kind of courses and this kind of help. But somehow I survived. But now you have this opportunity with you. Make use of it, guys. But yeah, there is one more thing. It's not necessary that you have to join for 3 years. You are okay only for class 10. You want to decide about you further later, it's fine. You also have options to come up with class 10. I mean, join Vedantu only for class 10. So just click on the course link, check out the details, check out the faculty profiles. They are a few of the best in industry, best in India, right? You can just check out their profiles. They are the IITians, they are very much experienced and they have worked in various other places. Yeah, various other places, as in they have worked for some such projects which are amazing. A few of our teachers have worked for curriculum designing of Karnataka State Board. See how amazing is this, right? Similarly, observe the profiles of the teachers and then observe the timetable, etc., etc. Take up a trial of 1 week, see if everything goes well. Take it up if you feel it is best suiting to you, because this is for you, so you should be benefited, right? So check out the course link which is being posted over there. And now to conclude, what do you want to learn with me in the next webinars? Do let me know. Do let me know what do you want me to teach you in my upcoming next webinars. You know, right? I take a webinar every week. I give a free class of 40 minutes every week in which I teach something new. What do you want to learn? Do let me know in the comment section. Okay, I'll read your comments. Not in the chat box, in the comment session. Okay, so I'll read your comments. I'll take the majority. Whatever you want to learn, I'm going to teach the same. All right. So guys, I would love to see you all in my classes which are starting very soon. The course link will tell you the timetable and the date and everything. But in case I'm not gonna see you in my classes, but I want to see you, in case it's not gonna happen, guys, all the best. Work hard. This is the time that you have to prove yourselves to the society. All right, work very hard. Get the best ever grades. Done? All the best, everyone. I'll see you all again next week with some new topic, but you do let me know. You give me your suggestions of those topics that you want to learn with me. Done? Until then, bye-bye, everyone. All the best.